Welcome to the Gen Z Marketer podcast, where we have marketing conversations and everything in between. So, I'm actually really excited for this episode because I invented a guest who is a content creator that I've been following for a while now. And I know that we will learn a lot from her and how she grew as a content creator on YouTube. Within a year since she started her channel, she has already reached at least 100,000 subscribers. So we'll discuss how she got there and her journey in this episode under the Market Talks series. So I'd like to introduce and welcome Nicole Alba to the podcast. Hi, Nicole. How are you?
Hi, Jamia. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. And also, hello to all your listeners. I'm really excited for our talk today.
Yeah, so before we get started with the discussion, of course, why don't you tell us a bit more about yourself?
Yeah, all right, definitely. So, my name's Nicole Alba, and I'm currently a third year student, actually. And as Jamia said, I actually run a YouTube channel, which I started last year during the pandemic. And yeah, on the side, I do YouTube on the side. It's not my full time thing. And for the past few months, I'm definitely learning so many things about content creation. And I guess we're gonna talk about that later. But that's I guess that's the thing about me right now.
Right, okay. So of course, yeah, you mentioned that you started your channel. I think is it exactly a year ago or would you say like it's less than a year?
Oh, so it's actually less than a year ago. I started my channel around May last year.
Mm,
Mhm.
okay. But so almost like 10 months, I think I would say, around
Yeah,
10 months, right? So, and to think within 10 months, you have 100, like I checked earlier, 130,000 subscribers already. I mean, that's wild, I think. I think considering YouTube is also a platform, there's a lot of content, there's a lot of content creators. So for you to reach that within a year, I think that's really, really impressive. And I want to really congratulate you on doing that.
yeah. Thank you. Even I'm still in disbelief about how fast everything grew. But yeah,
Yeah, and you have actually like 40 videos. Like you don't have that much videos. I think, yeah, if compared to other content creators. But yeah, within a year you achieved this. But let's go back like to like yeah, 10 months ago. Like what was your eureka moment or when did you realize that oh hey, I want to start a YouTube channel?
yeah. So funny thing actually is that I've always wanted to start a YouTube channel, but I just didn't know what I would make it about. And I remember when after I graduated high school, I created this bucket list of things I wanted to do as I start my adulting journey. So that was back in about 2018. And last year, 2020, was when I actually got started in creating my YouTube channel. And I guess that takes most of us during the pandemic. We were really forced to just stay inside and find something to immerse ourselves in. And for me, that was maybe making videos online, posting it, and just making videos about the things I like talking about. So there was not one big eureka moment, but more of like, I want to do something, and I guess I like making videos, so I'll start making videos.
Right, right. I think that's most of the stories naman of most people on how they start their YouTube channel. Like maybe they just want to, have a platform to talk about things they want to talk about.
Mhm.
But of course, for you, your channel is about financial literacy. So why did you decide ultimately that that's what you wanted to talk about?
I guess when I was starting out, I didn't really think, oh, yes, I am definitely going to make videos about personal finance. I'm going to talk about all investing. At the start, it was more of like seeing what is it that I like talking about. And I guess I noticed that I really enjoy talking about personal finance things, investing, to the point that my friends are already getting bored whenever I talk about these things. So yeah, I guess that was just the natural trajectory. But when I did get started, I didn't really set out to becoming this. I guess what I am now as a finance guru, but I don't really call myself that. But people see me as someone who's making content about finance. But more of it, I
Yeah.
just wanted to make videos that I found interesting, share my life, and yeah.
Yeah, and actually, yeah, ultimately, yeah, that's how I know you now as like this financial person that, and to think that technically I'm older than you, and yet you're still a student, and yet I'm already learning a lot of things from you. And I think you have a lot of things to learn as well, especially once you start working. I think that would be interesting
Mhm.
once you create content when you're older. But of course now, yeah, we're talking about content creation and creating videos. And I think you would agree that when it comes to creating YouTube videos, some people may think it's actually just you film yourself and that's it. But actually there's a lot of work going into it, right?
Mhm.
So what is it like for you when you create your content or your videos?
Yeah, so it's funny that you say that because that's also my initial impression. I think when everyone watches YouTube videos, people think that the only thing YouTubers do, quote unquote, is that they
Yeah.
just set up their camera, film, edit the video, and post. But something that I've learned, a big thing that I've learned these past few months, is that there's so much that goes behind the scenes when you're creating content, when you're a content creator. Because for one, there's the business side of things, and of course, content creation is a big part of a YouTuber's life. But other than that, there's a lot of things: marketing the talks, studying, writing the talk, writing the script, and yeah, I guess my own content creation process, something that I've been doing these past few months. Actually, last year I really made this promise to myself that I'm gonna be making one video every week, and I didn't really know what I was getting myself into at the time. I just wanted to be consistent because I do believe that the only way you're gonna make actual progress is if you stick to a certain thing and then just be consistent with that. And for a time, the only I would come up with videos week on week, just listing them down, and then try to pick. Uh, yeah, so I would list my video ideas down, and my entire weekly schedule would go. I'd be brainstorming ideas during the weekdays, and then on Saturdays, that's when I would film my videos. So I'd usually take the whole day, and for the editing process takes about 3 4 days, and that's I just did that week on week on week. Yeah, that's I guess my content creation process.
Right, yeah. And I think that's the common process for everyone as well who has started to grow their channel. And I think that's one thing that aspiring YouTubers need to know, that there really is a lot of work going into it. And I'm glad that you said that you realized nga at first it's not like that. But of course, for you, you're doing it alone. There are some YouTube content creators who have partners when they're doing their vlogs, or they sometimes hire editors. But for you, you do everything on your own, right?
Yes, that's right. It's very tiring. Yeah, you would think that when you're creating videos, that's it. But if you're running everything by yourself, you have to do the research process. You have to make the script. You really have to film things. You have to edit. You have to post. You have to create the thumbnail. Yeah, it's a lot of moving parts that sometimes gets really tiring if you're just running the whole show by yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And like you mentioned, the thumbnail, you create those as well. And that's also one of like the huge marketing aspects of a YouTube channel, because if your thumbnail is not interesting or engaging enough, people might not, click on your video, or even the way you create content or copywriting for your titles or like the descriptions. There's a lot of thought going into that as well, because if it's not catchy enough, people might not, click,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Mm-mm. And I'm glad, and I think you're one of those people who really has that whole skill set that you can do all of those things on your own. Because for some talaga, they would have to get a freelancer or an editor to do those things.
Yeah.
So of course, yeah, because we're talking about the work into it, but I think there's also things that you need to invest on, like when you're creating or producing content. So did you have to invest on anything special, like microphones or cameras or any of those things?
So great question. At the very start, because I mentioned that I didn't really know what I was getting myself into, and for a lot of people, it might be tempting to go out there and buy the greatest equipment, the nicest equipment right off the bat. But because I wasn't sure whether or not I was going to be sticking into this, and that it was more of just a hobby at the start, I just literally just got my phone and started recording. If you were to see my initial few videos, it looked like I didn't know what I was doing because I really didn't. And yeah, at the start, you can see that my audio, the volume was a bit low because I didn't know. And yeah, I guess the first few equipment investments that I had when creating content were just to buy a microphone. So I guess the only thing I bought was just a lapel mic. And for my tripod, I just used table trash can from Miniso. But that's about it. Bare bones setup. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I think also considering that you didn't initially like you didn't think you would grow into like this kind of content creator. Of course, ideally you'd think na oh maybe I shouldn't invest so much because that you didn't see it. I think like what you mentioned as something like a career or something that you initially wanted to do. So for you, it's more of like a pastime, diba?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So of course, when you first posted or when you first started, of course everyone starts at zero. So what was it like for you when when you had your first few posts? Like, did you promote it heavily, or like how did you get the word out with your channel?
I think in the initial parts of the content creation process, when you're starting out, I think you would relate to this also, is that when you invest yourself into something, like you create this video, it's your baby. And for you to post it out there, you have this rush of feeling the thrill of posting it. Because like you don't know what's going to happen once your video goes live on the public. But syempre, upon posting, nothing really happened. No one knew who I was. I didn't really have viewers. So at the start, it was just me posting the video, not really knowing. More of once I posted the video, I felt this sense of accomplishment. Like, yeah, I was able to do it. But besides that, no one was really watching, and it was just crickets. Nothing was happening. And I guess to get things, since I already started that first video, I wanted to start having some momentum. So immediately, the day after, I started recording another video. And that was when I started to talk about my own finance journey. And when I posted that,
Mm.
when I posted that, I was actually going through this subreddit that is also about personal finance here in the Philippines. And I just decided, well, I made a video about personal finance. Maybe I could share it there. And once I did share it there, I guess some people took notice because especially because a lot of the people in this personal finance space tend to be older. And for me to be posting something about personal finance and being as young as I am, I think I got some people's attention. So when I shared it on that subreddit, some people took notice and started giving me compliments. Oh wow, you're so young and you're already talking about personal finance. Some people were supportive, some people were really harsh about it. But I guess that's what happens when you put yourself out in the public. That was the initial, I guess, process of how I got things started. But eventually, you can't keep promoting your content on some other platform because that's just self promotion. It's not a good thing to do. So after, I guess, like cross promoting about 3 of my videos, I got called out like, no, you shouldn't self promote here. It's just like sharing information. So I stopped doing that. And I'm happy that I stopped doing that because I wasn't reliant on having to self promote myself in order to, I guess, get views. So for initially, I decided I took a turn. Okay, I can't keep self-promoting myself. This is not the way to grow an actual, I guess, platform channel. So I started researching about the YouTube algorithm, those kinds of things. I guess we'll talk about that later in a bit. But yeah, just like really learning what it takes for a YouTube video to get views on the platform.
Right, right. And I'm actually really surprised or interested on how you said that you started on Reddit, like just really sharing that you have a channel. Because for me, I don't actually use Reddit. I mean, I've read content there, but I don't really have an account. So I think it's interesting that you said that you started there because I don't think for me, someone who's doing marketing, I don't really see it as it's not really a platform for you to promote,
Mhm.
right? Commonly here in the Philippines, if you want to get the word out on something, you use Facebook, you use Instagram, and of course, search like Google search.
Okay.
So I think that's an interesting start, right? Reddit. I'm actually really surprised. But you mentioned you don't do that anymore, right? You don't really post in
Yeah, I
Reddit
don't do
now.
that. That was just my first 3 videos. But also the reason why I didn't start promoting on Facebook or on Instagram was because at the start I didn't want my family members to know or like my circle of friends to know that I was starting a channel. I didn't want to jinx it. I didn't want any like outside opinion to affect my videos because and because Reddit is mostly anonymous. That's also the reason why I started, I guess, posting there. So that's like one factor. I didn't tell my parents that I had a YouTube channel until I hit 1,000 subscribers. So I feel like if I hype
Oh,
myself up so much, oh yeah, telling my friends that I have a YouTube channel, telling my relatives I have a YouTube channel, like, and you don't really achieve anything. Like if you're posting for a couple of months and nothing really happens, it's kind of embarrassing. I don't know if that's the correct word, but at least at the start, I didn't tell anyone that I knew that I had a YouTube channel, and I just wanted to grow it
right.
first.
So parang you were incognito with it, na parang you just really wanted to try it out, but you didn't want anyone else to
Yeah,
know, right?
definitely. So it gave me a room at least for experimentation and so that other people's opinions wouldn't really affect my videos. And only when I achieve a certain level of success will I let people know that yeah, this is the thing that I've been doing the past few weeks.
Yeah. So of course you mentioned also earlier that you didn't really expect or you didn't really start as to thinking that you want to be successful in this platform or you want to grow this platform. So what was the turning point or when did you realize that your channel was starting to grow and it has grown beyond your
I
expectations?
guess even at the start, I guess even at the start, relative to other YouTubers, because I started with that promotion, like posting 2 to 3 videos on Reddit. Initially, people already saw my videos, so I guess that's like an initial boost, and that got me to about 150 subscribers, which is a lot faster than a lot, which is a lot which is already a lot faster than most people. But from that point, I didn't really focus too much. Of course, from time to time, I celebrate that. Oh, this random stranger commented on my video, or oh, I finally have 100 views on this video. So those small achievements. So at the start, I was just really celebrating the small wins that oh, I suddenly have 100 views or I have 50 subscribers, like woohoo parties here and there. But over the long run, I was just really focusing on making video after video. And I guess it was a life changing moment for me when my channel started accelerating, maybe from about 700 subscribers to 1,000. The moment I hit 1,000, I think it's a psychological change that, oh my God, I don't, the people who are watching my videos are no longer my friends. They're no longer my family members. Strangers that I've never met before and I probably wouldn't ever meet are watching my videos and listening to what I'm saying. And I guess the biggest turning point, like definitely it's like starting to accelerate. But last year, I guess the life changing moment, quote unquote, for me was when what happened in November. So I was already accelerating, growing 5,000, 8,000, 9,000. Once I hit 10,000, that was like, whoa, I did 1,000. I did it again 10 times. I'm at 10,000. But during November, I guess the algorithm started picking up one of my videos. And it was crazy. During that moment, I was getting about 2,000 subscribers a day. But eventually it had to mellow out. But I think that was the turning point when I realized, oh my God, this is crazy.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And I like how you mentioned that the YouTube algorithm contributed to the growth because I also think that for your growth, one of the like biggest contributors, or I think the biggest contributor is YouTube algorithm, of course. And of course, the YouTube algorithm, not just YouTube, even Facebook, Instagram, they all have these algorithms wherein the byline or the common theme is they recommend content to us or to the viewers based on what they think that viewer would be interested
Mm-hmm.
in, right? And of course, one of the key factors that contribute to that is because basically they have profiles of what we're likely to engage in or what we're likely to, be interested in. They have the profiles of what we're interested in. And for you, for finance, I think for me, I'll just also share my personal experience because I think this is something that most people can
Mm-hmm.
relate to. I just the reason or when I started to discover your channel, I just fell into that rabbit hole of financial literacy videos. And that was around I think November, December as well. I'm not sure whose video I saw first, if it was yours, if it was Charms or Thea's videos, but I started to see your videos and I'm not sure if it was about insurances or digital
Mm-hmm.
banks. But I think those were the first videos that I saw from you and from Thea and Charm as well. And that's when the algorithm also started to pick up and say, okay, so now I'm consuming financial literacy videos. So now they're going to recommend
Mm-hmm.
that to me. And ultimately, the algorithm for other websites followed. For Facebook, I've been getting more ads for insurances and all of these things. So I think sometimes for people who do not do marketing or for people who do not know, that's how it actually
Mm-hmm.
really works. That's why it's easy to quote unquote manipulate people. I mean, I don't want to use that word, but for me, the reason why I enjoy doing marketing because it's in a way manipulating people
Behavior.
to
Mm-hmm.
do what you want them to do. Exactly. Yeah. So I think also like what you said, that's really a huge contributor to your growth. But also other than the algorithm, what's important is that you're doing content that would support that. And I think we mentioned earlier the thumbnails or the copywriting, the way you write your titles or your descriptions, you have those keywords that would, support the algorithm or help the algorithm in deciding
Mm-hmm.
that, okay, after let's say I see a video of charms about digital banks, I would see your video about digital banks. So that's how it
Yeah,
works,
definitely.
right?
So I guess I'm not sure if this is something that people would say, but I genuinely believe that the YouTube algorithm is built with the intent, like it allows small channels to grow big. A lot of people say, oh, the YouTube algorithm is so unfair; it doesn't recommend my videos. But when you think about it, as you mentioned, the way the algorithm works with any platform whatsoever is that it's designed to keep people staying on the platform. So if you want your videos to be discovered, you have to make videos that people want to watch. And at the start, that might be a bit harder because people don't know who you are. But there are things that you can do to make your videos easily discoverable, which is what I also learned at the start. The keywords, the thumbnails, those things, just optimizing the search and what is that? The search engine optimization. Yeah,
Search
the
engine
SEO of your
SEO.
YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And it gives you a shot to really be found by people. And at the start, when people don't know you, that's the best thing you can do. Because on YouTube, people think that once you upload a video about your life, a vlog, people will immediately flock to that. But that's not the way it works. If people don't know who you are, then people won't watch your content. Or at least they can't find your content, even if they were good. So at the start, it's really useful for especially small YouTubers to really take advantage of what the algorithm does, making your videos more searchable, more clickable, and really delivering value to viewers.
Right, that's true. That's really, really true. That's important. I think that's one thing that sometimes potential content creators are forgetting, that they also need to add value to the viewer or to the listener for podcasts. Because if they don't see the value of, finishing your video, because of course, sometimes for YouTube videos, like Nicole, how long are your videos? Maybe I think
Mhm.
10 minutes,
10 to
20,
15.
30, right? So yeah. So sometimes, of course, those 10 minutes, ideally, you need to catch the attention already in the first few seconds or first few minutes because actually our attention span is getting shorter and shorter because of stories, because of TikTok, the emergence of these kinds of content. Make it like, short, our attention spans rather to
Hmm.
be shorter. Even for Facebook, the scrolling for Facebook, ideally you could catch the attention per post within like a
Hmm.
second or less. Otherwise, people would just scroll down. So I think that's the same for YouTube. And we also talked about right the algorithm and of course basically how the algorithm works in a way that it recommends videos on what would be most likely that viewer
Hmm.
would watch. And I'm curious to know because I think this is basically how YouTubers grow. Basically, a person would discover one of
Hmm.
your videos. And if they like it, if they like you, if they like the way you do your content, they would check
Hmm.
out your other videos or they would check out your channel or they would subscribe, right? I think that's how it also works for
Hmm.
you as well,
Yeah,
right?
it's not enough for you to make a clickable thumbnail and then get people to watch because if they don't come back to your channel to watch more videos, then your channel isn't going to grow as fast. I think what happened for me was that people were clicking on my videos, people were watching my videos, and they were also coming back for more. So the YouTube algorithm also takes a look at that. So it's not only the click-through rate that they look at, it's not only the retention rate, but they also look at how many people do people watch more of your videos, or is it only just that one video that they watch and then they leave and never come back?
Right, right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Because of course, ultimately, for YouTube, it's about conversion as well. Yeah, it really is. I think most of the metrics at the end of the day is really about conversion. And I'm curious to know, of course, you have like 40 videos. Like last I checked, you had 40 videos. And among of your videos, which ones do you get the most engagement from? Or maybe which videos do you think you really contributed to, your growth or getting more subscribers or,
Hmm.
yeah.
So the videos where I really explain a certain platform, those are the types of videos that I get the most engagement from, and for a good reason, because they're the ones that are the most optimized in terms of search engine optimization. But yeah, so currently the top performing video I have right now is my video on Pag-ibig MP2, and I think I know why it's the most popular video. For one, the thumbnail, if you were to go check it out on my profile right now, it's just me pointing to the side and it says there, start investing for 500 pesos. And most people, when they think about
Yeah.
investing, they'll be surprised, like, oh, you can do that for just 500 pesos. I'm going to click and watch. And currently, that video has about more than 400,000 views on my channel. And it's really the top performing videos. But in addition to that, I have other videos that explain other finance platforms that are not as high performing as my Pag-ibig video, but it's still over 100,000 views. So yeah.
Actually, yeah, I'm surprised to hear that it's the pag-ibig video because but yeah, I think I agree what the reason why maybe is because of the thumbnail. I remember seeing that video, but I think yeah, the reason why I didn't watch it is because I personally do not trust government
Yeah, okay. That
institutions.
makes sense.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing. I think in other of your videos, I think you talked about that. But also, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's interesting to hear. Now you get it from there, and then I think your other videos just followed suit. Basically, the people have fallen down the rabbit hole about you, like your videos or your content, because that's what happened to me, and I think that's really how the YouTube
Hmm.
algorithm works. So of course, yeah, I also would like to say, like you mentioned, the thumbnails. Also, I mean, I don't want to use the word clickbait, but it is what it is exactly. The Philippines, we generally have a very visual culture. So, thumbnails for videos are really important in catching the attention of your potential viewers. Because, I mean, sorry to say, but sometimes we don't
Mm-mm.
read, we don't read the titles or the descriptions. We first see
Hmm.
the thumbnails. And yeah, the way you construct your thumbnails, I think you are able to already, I think, would you agree that you're able now to understand that, okay, these are the kinds of thumbnails or these are the type of content or keywords that would really hook
So I'm
potential
still
viewers?
working on understanding good thumbnails because there's so much that goes into a clickable thumbnail. But going back to what you said earlier, no,
Yeah.
your videos really do need to be clickable, but don't make them clickbait to a point that you make the viewer click and they don't see what they clicked for. Immediately, you're gonna turn off people and they're not gonna watch your videos. Like if you talk about in your thumbnail, you talk about that you made this thing, and then in the video you didn't actually, that's gonna leave like a bad taste in your viewer's mouth. You need to create clickable thumbnails and then also deliver what you promised in your thumbnail. But then also, I wouldn't say I've nailed the clickable thumbnail. I'm still working on that. I'm still experimenting. If you notice on my thumbnails that I'm trying to change the style of the thumbnails. I already know that a certain style of my thumbnail will work, but I want to see if I can also create other thumbnails that will also get the same performance.
Right, yeah, yeah. And I think that's interesting that you're doing that because I think that's one thing that not just YouTube content creators, I think any marketer continues to do is, you do
Mhm.
A/B testing. You really test which ones work and which one doesn't because sometimes when you try something new, it could get higher returns
Mhm.
than what you already know, right? So I think that's a good practice that you're doing because of course content creation or rather content consumption is
Mhm.
constantly changing. So maybe this style works for you now, but somewhere down the line it
Mhm.
might not
Definitely.
work anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. So I believe that you're doing that. So of course we talked about your videos and how you're getting engagement, but of course I'm also curious to know that who would you say are really watching your videos the most? Who's your primary audience? Would you say it's more like people your age or younger? or would you say that like a lot of older people as well would watch
So
your
definitely, based
videos?
on my analytics, syempre just getting an insight on the type of people who watch my videos. And for good, it makes sense naman that the people who watch my videos are really beginners who probably know a bit about finance or maybe none at all, and they just started personal finance because of my videos. And I've kind of like understanding now that the I guess the content that I would make should really cater to beginners because that's also the demographic that I relate with the most. As for the age, it's about millennials. So Gen Z, millennials, those are the people that make up the chunk of my audience. But from time to time, I do have the older people who watch my videos. I actually I remember when it was during the early days of my channel, quote unquote, wasn't that long ago. But I received a comment and she said that she was about 70 years old and she loved watching my videos. And for me, that was so surprising because I knew that most people who watch my videos are younger, so my age. But it was surprising to see that people on like I guess the other from other age groups were also watching my videos. Some of them were enjoying it. Maybe some of them didn't want to listen to someone younger. But yeah, it was nice to know that there were other people who I didn't think would watch my videos were actually watching my videos.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's true, and that's interesting that you said, of course, na most of the listener or most of the viewers rather that you have are mostly beginners because I also like when I started watching your videos or the other videos on financial literacy, I feel like even though I've been working for how many years, I also felt that I was at the beginning of being more financially literate because I mean, I feel like the pandemic kind of like shifted my way of thinking when it comes to personal finance. I started to realize that I could save more now
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not really going out, I'm not buying stuff. And also because I had that experience in wherein you had to lose a source of income because of the pandemic. So you have to be more frugal when it comes to your money. So I think that's also one of the contributors. Like I agree. I feel like I notice also that when I watch your videos, because I'm that kind of viewer who doesn't
Mm-hmm.
really, comment or doesn't really, interact usually with the content creator. But every time I'm watching the video, I would look at the comments. I'm not sure if a lot of people do that
I
on
do
like
that.
when watching YouTube videos. Yeah, but basically while the video's ongoing, you're looking at the comments, right? And I would see also, like, I would agree with your sentiment that mostly they're the young ones. Sometimes there are a bit of older people who say that they're learning from you, and I think it's really interesting, and I appreciate like what you're doing, and that you're really building this community, or these people are really starting to see the value in what you do, and you're adding value to us viewers, of course. So, I'm curious also to know because are you present in other platforms other than YouTube? Like, of course, YouTube is your primary like content platform, but do you also have like Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, or where are you also present wherein you get to interact with your
So you're right. My main
followers?
platform is really YouTube, and I have the accessory platforms. There's Instagram, Facebook, but the people who follow me there are people who came from my YouTube videos. So they don't find me on Instagram, they don't find me on Facebook. It's from my YouTube. Then they check me out on those platforms. I'm not on TikTok. I don't. I don't. I'm kind of worried or I'm kind of scared of going into TikTok because the algorithm is so different there, and the type of videos that perform well there. I'm just not sure. But yeah, a lot of the platforms I'm on are also another way for me to engage with my users. Engage. A lot of the platforms, sorry, a lot of the platforms that I'm
Yeah,
on are also like ways for my viewers to engage more with me, and that's what I use them for. But yeah, my primary platform is on
yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah, and actually I agree with you that like what you said, that your content is primarily on YouTube, and then you have Facebook and Instagram as like a supplementary kind of thing. And I also appreciate what you said about how your followers from YouTube just look for you on Facebook and Instagram, because I feel like that really is the consumer behavior when it comes to these platforms. Like also for me, I would agree, and I've noticed also that YouTube content creators, of course, they're big on YouTube, but they just create their Facebook and Instagram as another way to interact with their followers, as another way to like update them on what's going on. And at the end of the day, yeah, they're still YouTube content creators, and Facebook and Instagram is just supplementary unless you're an Instagram person who just started YouTube as another, I think that's another
Yeah.
different behavior. Uh, right? So I'm curious though, like do you get as much engagement in Facebook and Instagram or as YouTube? I don't think like I think it's a huge gap though, right? I think most of your numbers are still on YouTube
Mhm.
rather than
So when it
Facebook
comes
and
to
Instagram.
engagement, I would say my followers on all of my platforms are highly engaged. Maybe the numbers aren't that, I guess. It's like 10% of my YouTube following. But in relation to their depth of engagement, I do see that people who follow me on Instagram and on Facebook are still engaged with me. Because for a lot of creators, maybe they for a lot of creators, they get followed on YouTube, but then when it comes to Instagram or on Facebook, their engagement is not as high. But for me, I do notice that the people who follow me are still engaged with me highly. And I guess in terms of like the engagement when ranking it, first and foremost is YouTube, and then Instagram, and then last is Facebook. I don't really check Facebook, and it's really just a place for me to just
Mhm.
announce that I posted something. But my Instagram is a way for
Right.
me to show the behind the scenes to my viewers. Like I'm making this video, or I'm getting them engaged in the content creation process, asking them questions, suggestions on what they want to see. But another thing that I'm actually on engaging with my viewers is Discord. So it's not just Instagram, it's
Mhm.
not just Facebook. I
Right.
also have my Discord server where I really get the chance to be more intimate with my viewers.
So actually, I think your numbers that you mentioned, or the way you said that YouTube is primary, Facebook and Instagram are secondary. I think it's also based on what kind of content you're creating. Of course, you're like about financial literacy, right? And your content, I think, is not something that would go and grow that much on Facebook and Instagram, simply because these are visual platforms where people tend to shop, or it's more aspirational. So looking at it even like in a marketing or branding perspective, when it comes to Facebook, the most successful types of content creators or brands are mostly for entertainment, or even fashion brands, all of these things. And I think same goes for Instagram. So your market kasi is almost kind of niche in a way, because not everyone, yeah, it's not really about beauty. I mean, it's a very saturated market na, like beauty and skincare. Yours kasi is very specific, and I think so far, at least here in the Philippines also, rather, it's very very niche. Like not
Mm-hmm.
everyone is really getting into financial literacy, which is why I think your Facebook and Instagram is the way it is. But if let's say you did beauty vlogs,
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be a lot different. And I think you'd get a lot of Instagram followers, and then Facebook is a little. For me, kasi personally, I think I see Facebook marketing so far. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
Instagram is a bit more successful than Facebook. But
Yeah.
depending on the case, but it's usually Instagram now. And also you mentioned Discord. Actually, I'm interested to hear about that, because of course, technically, when you're like marketing, or if you want to be like a personality who's popular, like you're a content creator, it's usually Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok lately. So you mentioned that you have Discord. Do you get a lot of interactions as well in Discord? Are there a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people in
So
your
currently, I have
Discord
about
channel?
4,000 Discord members, and Discord was really a way for me. At the start, I was thinking, should I make a Facebook group or should I make a Discord server? And some of my audience said that you should create a Discord server. At the time I didn't know what Discord really was. I know that people chatted on it. I know people had voice calls on it, but besides that, I had no experience with Discord. But now, what
Yeah.
my platform is that it's a place for my viewers to gather and talk about things that they have similar interests in. So I guess my channel is like that overarching, like not of that brings these people together. And I'm really happy to have my Discord server because it's a place for me to really talk to my viewers, get to know who they are, what kind of people are they, and why they watch my videos in the first place. And more than just being a content creator, content coach, I don't really like the term influencer. I don't consider myself an influencer. I don't consider myself
Yeah.
a YouTuber. I'm just like a kid making videos on YouTube that people watch. And when I do get to talk to the people on my Discord server, I learn a lot from them about the viewers who watch my videos, about their stories. And I think that's something that a lot of YouTube creators, or maybe even just influencers, quote unquote, don't really get to experience. That getting that level of intimacy with their viewers. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. And actually, I think Discord is originally known as like a gaming platform, right? Where gamers like interact with each other when they're playing games. I think that's the primary or what Discord is really known for. That's why I was really interested and surprised to hear that you have that. And I think it's also interesting that you have that intimacy there in Discord. Because yeah, that's something new. That's something new, something interesting. And actually, I'm also kind of curious now to see like how will that play out. Maybe there's it at some point other creators like you would go on Discord. Parang it's just an interesting thing
Yeah,
to look
definitely.
at,
And it's
right?
fun. The Discord server is fun. It's not really a place for me to lecture them about personal finance, nothing like that. Sometimes we have karaoke sessions, sometimes we play games, sometimes we just talk through the voice call, talk about life. Like the usual things that you would talk with your friends, I
Right.
get to talk about them with that. And I'm really grateful for the people I've met through my Discord server.
Right, yeah, and that's true. Because you don't also get to do the things you mentioned on Instagram. You don't get to do that on Facebook. So yeah, it's interesting that you have that platform, and I actually would love to look at that and how other brands or maybe other content creators are doing it. Kasi nga, like what you're doing now, I think it's growing beyond gaming. Maybe it's growing beyond gaming
Yeah,
that we're not aware of, right? Yeah. So of course
oh yeah,
your
it's primarily
yeah, you
gaming,
wanted to
but
say
I
something.
think it just surpasses that all across. Discord is really a place to build communities. Maybe it got started in the gaming world, but now it's really a platform for building communities, for communities to thrive on. Yeah.
Right, yeah. So of course you call your followers or and your community, you call
Yeah.
them your bread fam, right? Yeah, yeah. So I'm curious to know why is it bread
Okay.
fam? Like what's the
So
origin
when I was
of
uploading,
that?
it was my third video, the 4% savings account video. Um, at the start, like if you watch that at the very early part, because I would feature the comments of the people who watch my videos, and the first comment that I ever featured was "Let's get this bread," and in that video, I actually ate a slice of bread, and it was just, "Ooh, yeah, let's get this bread." But then from that, people started making bread puns in my comment section, and I don't know, like one thing led to the next, and I started calling people bread fam because some people were just calling them, yeah, call us your bread fam or call us your bread friends or something like that. And I was like, okay, this is fun. I like bread, and I guess let's double down on this bread brand, quote unquote.
Yeah, yeah, it's really yeah. That's a funny story. I mean, for me, of course, when I don't remember which video I saw wherein yeah I started noticing that you're calling people because of course when you introduce yourself like you call them your bread, I'm like oh what why is it the case? And now hearing this story from you is actually really interesting and fun story. So of course you already talked about what it's like engaging with your bread fam. Are your bread fam also like mostly people your age and younger, or are there also like older people who also interact with you
So
on
my
like
Discord server,
Discord
I
or
guess
Instagram?
just with the nature of the platform, it tends to be people my age, people younger, high school, or maybe even working millennials, right? So maybe age range is probably
Yeah.
15 to 30. It would be the largest age range done, mostly below 30 years old. And yeah, it's just funny how all of them like it's a part of their identity to be bread fam, you know, like when I see their chats, they talk about like, yes, kamusta kayo bread fam, or yes, bread fam, let's go. And it's just nice to see, like it's so wholesome that it was able to evolve into something like this. I would never have imagined that I would have this community who proudly identify themselves to be bread fam, whereas to the outside spectator would be like, what is this bread fam, what does that even mean? But for people within the community, they understand what it is, and to be bread fam for them, and even for me, it's just to be driven, not like just working on your goals, and yeah, just like wanting more out of your life, and yeah, working on yourself, being more driven. Maybe it's about managing your personal finances, but generally it's just people who are, yeah, just like wanting the best for themselves, and like learning from other people. Yeah, I guess those things are what's associated with the bread fam.
Right. Yeah. And of course, yeah, it's interesting that, of course, I think it's not just you, but I think usually when you become a content creator, there will be a turning point once in you're really popular or you're known already. You start to talk about things beyond your content, and it starts to get a bit more personal, wherein you start to share, you know, things about yourself that,
Mm-hmm.
normally you wouldn't do, right? Kasi you're becoming this personality already. So I'm curious to know, of course, you're talking about financial literacy, or all of these things. What's next for you and like your
It's great that
content
you
for
asked
your
that.
channel?
Because definitely that's been something I've been thinking about more. I like talking about finance, but I don't think it's the only thing I'm going to be talking about. Because like the first, I remember when I was starting out, someone was asking, "Why is your channel named Nicole Alba? Why don't you create like some sort of finance name or I don't know, a brand name, so to speak?" But when I was starting out, I really
Yeah.
wanted it to be my platform where I talk about the things I wanted to talk about, where I share about the things I learned. And I guess that's what's nice about keeping my YouTube channel name as my name because that's me. That's my personal brand. And I guess what's next for my YouTube channel, I really don't know. Most of it, like, definitely, I'm still going to talk about personal finance. But some of my followers are actually asking me, Ate, why don't you make vlogs or why don't you talk about other things? Why don't you recommend me books? Because I feel like once you create this following and people trust in you, they want more from you. It's like definitely you keep talking about finance, but I like the way you think about finance. How are you this person you are right now? So can you share me books recommendations? Can you share me what you think about this? How do you manage your time? And I guess that's just the natural trajectory of a lot of content creators who are able to build a following. Your viewers want to know more about you. So for me, it's just I guess now I'm kind of want to experiment more. Definitely, I'm gonna continue with my finance content. But what else could work? If I make a book review, are people gonna want that? If I create a vlog, or gonna just like seeing what works. I guess if you're gonna ask me what's next, my channel is still very young. Like even though I've grown so big, I'm still new to this content creation space. It's been less than a year. So it's really hard to say what's next, but definitely I'm going to continue experimenting and just really sharing about the things I like to talk about.
Right. Yeah. I think it's interesting what you said about it's like your personal brand, and that's why you have your name on it. And yeah, I think that's how most content creators start. And of course, you mentioned that yeah, you built this credibility about financial literacy videos, but you want to go beyond that, and you just really want to talk about like what you want to talk about in this platform. And ultimately, I think, of course, you've already built this credibility, and you mentioned that, and I think that's what most content creators should really start doing, or that's how really that's how you really grow in these platforms. You post content with value, of course, and then you build your credibility. Once you build your credibility, you eventually build a community. And once you build a community, yes, they tell you what they want to see, what they want to learn from you. And I think that's how most content creators really grow. And of course, your target, or I think not just your target, but most of us in general, as young millennials, Gen Z, now we can already see through the
Mm-hmm.
BS of content creators or brands, right? So I appreciate how you said basically like you want to be authentic to what you want to create or what you want to talk about, because I think that's another key factor for any content creator to be successful. You have to have authenticity. You have to really like enjoy what you're doing and be like credible in what you're talking about. Otherwise, your viewers can see
Mm-hmm.
through that and they're not
Yeah,
going to
definitely.
trust you. So, of course, I mean, yeah, your channel is now, for now, it's about financial literacy, but of course, you're eventually going to talk about other things, and I'm actually looking forward to that. But I just want to ask, what do you think of the current landscape of
So
financial
financial
literacy here
literacy,
in the
I guess,
Philippines?
to put it shortly, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Even from the fact that financial literacy is not something that's taught in our education system, and the fact that the people who are watching my videos didn't learn about these things in school or didn't learn about these things elsewhere, and they had to go to my videos to finally learn about like that. Uh, to to finally learn about things like that, it just goes to show that there's so much work to be done. when it comes to financial literacy here in the Philippines. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Kasi even our banks or institutions or even insurance companies, I think they're the primary or the first people who would talk about financial literacy, of course. But ultimately, yeah, I agree with you. It's not taught in school. And I think culturally also, we're not a culture who's like normalizing or we normally talk to our
Mm-hmm.
friends or family or peers about finances. Diba? It's almost kind of like taboo if
Mm-hmm.
you ask people about how much they're earning or what are they doing with their money. So I think it's no, like what you're doing, and of course sila Fea, sila Charm, what you guys are doing with your content. I think it's a good start also to eventually really grow financial literacy. So would you say almost like you advocate for this? This is something that you really want to
Definitely.
share with people. Or it's just or yeah, or it's just something na okay, you just want to share. But or do you see yourself as advocate na talaga na medyo aggressive
Definitely.
in promoting this?
I'm not
Yeah.
sure if I'm like a strong advocate for it, but I am very passionate about the topic because a lot of our problems really stem from the lack of financial literacy. You mentioned that there's a taboo in Filipino culture, and as a result of that, because people don't talk about money, they don't know how to manage money. And a lot of problems really stem from lacking the knowledge on how to manage your finances. So definitely I am very passionate about the topic, but for me to become a strong advocate in the sense that my future career, I'm going to be a financial advisor or I'm going to be a financial planner helping people out with their finances, probably not. It's something that I like talking about with people, and
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes it does go into that conversation because if you're the type of person wants to who wants to make the best for yourself and who wants to strive even further, naturally in the realm of self-development, working for yeah, in the realm of self-development and making things better in your life, financial literacy is one component of that. If you want your life to be better, then definitely you have to manage your finances so that you don't, yeah, ganun. Mm-mm.
Mm-mm, right. So I think I appreciate how you said it's also a part of self-development because I think ultimately if you want to be more financial literate, if you really want to, take control or manage your finances, you have to have that drive or initiative to really take control because otherwise you're not going to change habits. Like for me, I think that's the case for me also. Before every time I would get my salary, I would automatically think, oh, what can I buy? What can I spend it on? But I really appreciate falling into that rabbit hole of your videos and Charm and Thea's videos. Now, okay, now I'm really more managing my finances. And I think that's also the start for anyone, basically. Like, if you don't want to do it or if you don't take
Mm-hmm.
initiative in doing it, you're not going to end up doing it. And ultimately, also, I think surrounding or consuming content that would really help your self development is another good way, really, also, right? To be more financial literate or
Mm-hmm.
really to
Yeah.
develop or educate yourself. So, do you have any advice for anyone who, of course, wants to start being more financially
Mm-hmm.
literate or really taking
I'm gonna
control of
sound like
their
a broken
finances?
record if you have listeners who watch my videos, but I think everything really stems from mindset. You can pursue you can pursue being financially literate, but if your mindset is not right, like let's say for example, yes, you want to get started in saving, you want to get started in budgeting, but then you might look at it na parang hassle. I don't want to save. Ang hassle naman saving. It's okay, Jay, but when you think about it, this financial literacy thing, with financial education, or if you want to budget, or if you want to save your money, everything that you're doing is really for you, for your future self. So when you want to become more financially literate, so when you want to make the commitment to become more financially literate, to really take the time to learn how to manage your money and improve your financial education, I would say it really comes from the mindset, the way you look at it. What is it that you actually want to achieve when you want? What is it that you actually want to achieve when managing your money? Why are you doing this? And then I think everything will stem from that. If you're just saving your money because you know it's the right thing to do, but it's not as strong of a why should you do this, then you might, like, I don't know, get discouraged about saving or budgeting. You'll find it a hassle. But if you look at it in the sense that you're doing this so that in the future you don't have to worry about money, I think it will be a much better experience for you when you're learning how to manage your money. And I think that goes with all aspects of life naman. If you want something, you really need to figure out what it is you need to do in order to get that thing. And if you want the peace of mind, in life naman, there's a lot of problems, right? We have money problems, we have relationship problems, so many other problems. But just taking the stress away from that money problem and you really working to improve you're really working to improve that aspect of your life, then I guess that's advice I would give. Just like the mindset. It all starts from mindset. Definitely, there's so much. It's so much easier said than done. There's a lot of like disparities. There are people who have more resources, who's gonna have an easier time in managing their finances, and there are people who don't have as much and will have a much harder time. But still, it really stems from the mindset. If you want it, then you're gonna have to do what it takes to get it.
Right, right. So, of course, yeah, we talked about your advice to anyone who wants to be more financially literate. So, do you have any advice for anyone naman who wants to be a content creator on YouTube?
Mm-hmm. So I think this is hard for me to answer because even for me, when I started making videos, I didn't like do it with the aspirations that definitely I'm doing this, so eventually I'm going to be this big YouTuber. I think everyone who has grown on YouTube didn't really have, I guess, like aspirations maybe to become as big as they are. But I think with any content creation or any skill, you can't just like make videos and expect that it's magically going to grow overnight. You have to put in the work. It's not just you filming the video and uploading the video, but it's a continuous process of improvement. What else can you improve in your videos? How else can you make it more engaging? How else can you improve your thumbnails? What else can you learn about the YouTube algorithm so that your videos get recommended? So it's really just that continuous process of improving. If you really want to make it on this platform, you have to be willing to do what it takes for your videos to start getting recommended. And also just managing your expectations. No, if you think that you want to go into content creation with the hopes of that, oh, you're eventually gonna get really rich from YouTube because you see so many YouTubers making a lot of money, then I don't know, just tempering your expectations. No, why is it? What's your reason for doing this? And if your reason is to create videos sharing value with the world and giving value to the people who watch your videos, then probably you're gonna be able to reach a certain amount of success on the platform. But if you're making videos just for I guess, the views, to get money, to get rich, then you're probably gonna have a hard time when you see the reality of how it is to be creating content on YouTube. But I guess it's different naman if you're creating a brand talaga. For me, it's just connected to me as a person, my YouTube channel. But for other people, maybe they want to create a YouTube channel for their business or for their hobby and just like promote the content so that it drives traffic to their business. But that's like another kind of content creation skill set. But for me, yun nga, if you're just like a person, you're a nobody, quote unquote, and you want to start making content on YouTube, just go with it. Just make sure you have the proper intentions.
Right, yeah, that's true. I agree with you on that because sometimes I see people who want to, their mindset is really to be a successful content creator or quote unquote influencer. And I would agree with you that's not the right mindset to go with it because if you think of monetization at the get-go, yeah, I agree that it's also not going to be successful for you because it's a different game. Ultimately, I think to add on what you just said, you have to build your credibility. You have to build, of course, your authenticity as well as a content creator, and of course, more on like your personal brand on who you want to be as a content creator. So I think we can add those on the other things that any content creator would know because as we mentioned before, people can see through BS if you're trying too hard or if you're, people can see through that.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, brands wouldn't want to work with people like that who are too quote unquote arrogant or I mean, yeah, I've been there. I've been there. I mean, I also do like one of the things I do, of course, as marketing or a marketing professional. We also look into, content creators or quote unquote influencers. And there are times when someone doesn't even have a following. They automatically think of monetization. So they reach out to brands. There's nothing really wrong with that. But if you don't have really a brand, a personal brand, if you don't really have credibility yet or authenticity as a content creator, then no one's going to want to partner with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you have any other thoughts that maybe we weren't able to discuss, but you would like to share with our listeners?
Nothing really. I can't seem to think about it because I feel like I've binuhos ko na lahat eh. I've already said what I wanted to say.
Yeah,
But really, I think wrapping it up, since this is a marketing podcast, no, there's really like so much potential when it comes to content creation. People think that, oh yeah, it's just for entertainment purposes. People just make. But no, there's this entire creator industry that's growing dun sa my YouTube or on any social media platform. So I don't know, if you're a business listening, then you should probably take it seriously. But if you're a person, like marketer also, just looking at content creators, like giving them more credit for what they do. Mga ganun, those kind of things. But when it comes to
right.
personal
Yeah.
finance, yun nga, I think I've said it with my wrapping up thoughts.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, and I agree with you that content creation is such a huge industry now, and it has gone beyond that. Before you just have blogs, and then you have suddenly Facebook and Instagram, and now you have YouTube and then TikTok. Like all of these platforms are coming in. So, yeah, of course, when we talk about it in a marketing perspective, I would say ultimately, depending on the brand, you have to think of what's best for your brand, what your because not all content platforms are fit for all
Mm-hmm.
brands. And also, yeah, if you want to partner with content creators, one thing that I also said, or I always think of before, is that you need to make sure that if you're partnering with a content creator, their personal brand and your brand are, you know, make sense together.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're partnering with a content creator who's not really, like similar to your brand, you don't share the same brand values or things like that, people are gonna see through that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think when we're talking about marketing, that's the insight I'd like to share also with people. So now I'd like to give you this time to invite people to check out your channel.
So I think I'm easily searchable naman. If you want to check out
Yeah.
my videos and then just see, like take a look at what I've been pointing to on my channel. Use a bread pan where I ate the bread. You can check out my channel. You can just type my name, Nicole Alba. And I think I'll be the first one there because of my skill. But before, mm-mm. You can check out.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm also
definitely.
on
Yeah,
Instagram, but I post it on my channel naman, like where my handle is. But yeah, you can check out my videos on Facebook, on YouTube.
yeah. Of course, yeah. Thank you again, Nicole, for your time. And of course, guys, do check out Nicole's channel. I feel like you will learn a lot of things from her as much as I did as well on personal finance and other things. So, of course, also, if you like this episode or if you like the podcast, please follow us to get notified on the latest uploads. If you want to share your thoughts, suggest topics, or collaborate, visit our socials at the Gen Z Marketer Podcast on Facebook, at Gen Z MKT on Instagram, and at anchor.fm/Gen Z MKT.